I think from here on in, I'm going to be dreading every manga volume until we get to the final part of the anime. Hey, it's Romania Black. Yeah, last volume, if it did anything, reminded me about how complicated and uncomfortable and just mind-racking and frustrating the story gets at this point, all by design. Isayama intends it to be this way. They want us to be frustrated and mad and complicated. But from here on in, I thought I was doing really well. And I do feel like I got to know Eren better as a character leading up to this point. And I was like, oh yeah, I've known Eren more as a character. I'm going to like him more. And this part of the manga is reminding me that it may not have made a difference. But hopefully it will. Hopefully it will. I try to give Eren benefit of the doubt. But honestly, I think we'll talk about this in the comments. I think the fandom makes it worse in some regards because Isayama's story, we're starting volume 27, and when we last left off, Eren was looking in the mirror being like, I have to fight. It's almost like Eren doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to do the things that he's doing, but he's doing them anyway because he believes that he has no choice. He has to do this to save the people he cares about. The thing that's frustrating with that is not that we don't understand Eren's motives. We get his motives. They've been laid out pretty clearly at this point. But the thing that's so frustrating is that Eren has, one, not been present when we, the audience, have seen all the other elements of the story that show us this is a bad idea. He's not been present for that. We've seen it and been like, wow, this is a bad idea, but Eren has not, so he doesn't know. And we can't be there to tell Eren, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea. But it also, in Eren believing this is the only option that he has, he's foregoing all of these other potential options. And not only that, but it's the frustrating thing that Isayama makes this realistic in the sense of no one party is to blame and no one party is necessarily more valid in their opinions than others. Although the genocide of the world, we'll talk about it in a minute, is a problematic choice. As Tatiana would say in Drag Race, choices. but I want to talk about that. So I've had a lot of people comment the last several volumes, and this was happening all the time during the anime. It's one of the reasons I got burnt out, honestly, during the anime, because I got tired of people telling me that I should be Camp Eren, and Eren's doing the best decision, and let's support Eren. It was like the Jaegerists invaded my channel, and they were just like, why don't you support Lord Eren and his amazing plan? I'm like, because it's not an amazing plan. It's a terrible plan that is not good in any way, shape, or form, and neglects the wishes of all the people he's trying to save, but whatever! But I think someone recently commented with volume 25, they were like, well, the fandom just doesn't understand that it's the adults that created the monster of Eren. No. I get that. I don't know about the rest of the fandom, but I get that. It's the whole children in the forest, right? It's not only Eren, though. It's Reiner, it's Annie, it's Bertolt, it's Flock, it's Eren, it's Louisa, it's Kaya, it's Gabby. The moral that Mr. Browse says is that if we put these children in this forest, they will grow up with hatred in their hearts. It will make them a child of evil, like the ED of part 2 is, and it will make them have this hatred and violence in their heart, and they will think it's the only way to solve the problem and perpetuate the cycle. And it's not just Eren that enacts this cycle. It happens to a lot of characters in the series. It's happening with Willie, Tiber, and Magath. They were going to sacrifice Paradis and destroy them for everybody else. And so Isayama creates this very complex argument of saying that no one person is completely right. It's it's like a social experiment. It's like, where do your loyalties lie? But my thing is, a lot of people that have told me that I should be Team Eren because the world created the evil that is Eren, I was like, well, that's missing out on a couple details. One, as we find out in a few volumes, I'm hoping, is that Eren has always had, it's like nature versus nurture. Eren has always had this violent part of him that's like instinctual in him. It's like a serial killer. It's always been a part of him. We just grow up with Eren as the MC, so we don't think much of it, but it's always been there. And two, it's the idea that by the time all of this goes down, Eren's a freaking adult. So I think that was one thing where everybody was trying to argue with me. They're like, oh, well, Reiner and Annie and Bertolt, they did all the stuff to Shay and Sheena. I'm like, yeah, they were 10. They were a kid. They didn't know. But by this point, by the time the rumbling happens, not only is Eren a full-blown adult that is capable of making mature decisions, but they have the knowledge. They did know better. It's like, you know, the writer's whole thing is we had no idea. We were just kids. That's the argument for them. Eren did know better, wasn't a child, had full knowledge of his father's memories, had every access to all this stuff, and still made the choice. So I get why Eren does what he does, and it's going to be a process of me being like, and biting my tongue and being like, why are you doing this, Eren? This is a terrible idea. But it's also one of the things of, I don't like the idea of Eren being completely without blame. It's like, there's a lot of people that put Eren up on this savior pedestal, and he's just trying to save his friends in the world. He had no choice. He's without blame. I'm like, that's a bold-faced lie. He's not without blame. That is not true, sirs and madams. And this ties to Christopher Peterson's comment, is what kind of got me thinking about this. And that is the idea of the rumbling is going to, and they talked about it in volume 25. They talked about in volume 25 that the rumbling, if it happens, is going to destroy the ecosystem of the world. I don't know if you guys know how biology works or how, you know, ecology works, things like that, biogeography. But if you destroy the world, the rest of the world, Paradis not in a bubble. It's not going to be spared from the traumas that the rumbling will cause. It will destroy the ecosystems. It will cause everything that is destroyed from the ecosystems to run off into the oceans and potentially kill all of the life in the oceans and cause massive carbon dioxide intakes. It will completely wreck the atmosphere and reconfigure it. It will create a supercontinent that will destroy everything in its path and doom the planet. Paradis will be destroyed because Eren's doing the rumbling. But you know what? As Christopher Peterson says, Eren wasn't taught ecology on Paradis. Eren wasn't taught biochemistry. Eren has no freaking clue what this will do. And that's such an important part, I think, of volume 25 that I'm glad Christopher Peterson brought it up before we get started on this, is that Eren is quite ignorant to a lot of things around the world because he wasn't taught. Because Paradis was kept in this little bubble and Eren's just been learning as he's gone. And I'm not saying Eren's stupid. He's not. He's very clever for the plan that he thinks up. But Eren is not educated in what that plan will do to the world if he enacts it. He doesn't realize he's dooming his own friends that he's trying to save. By destroying the world, Paradis will be doomed and will burst into a big ball of flame and be completely corrupted and destroyed. They're going to have like 5 minutes together on Paradis when he gets back, and then the world's over. You know, it's just one of those things. And it's a lesson almost that Isayama is telling us, the audience, of being like, look at what ignorance does. Look at what has happened since King Fritz has isolated his people away from the rest of the world, and they have no memories, and they've been like dumb sheep in a cage. Look at what that's done. Now you have a rabid sheep that's gotten out and has the capability to get their hands on a bulldozer and trample the people that imprison them. That's a bit dangerous, right? So it's not a perfect metaphor, but but I'm glad Christopher Peterson brings that up, because I think it's safe to say that, and we saw in the last volume, in volume 26, that Armin and Mikasa and Hanji and all of the other Survey Corps members were realizing how little they knew of the world around them, and they were thinking, oh, we really should probably get to know the world around us, and maybe that will help us make better educated decisions for our future. But Eren doesn't take the time to join that conversation, or they're not patient enough. All they see is a cycle, and they're like, well, this is how I can destroy it. But the irony is how they're destroying it is not destroying it. It's just continuing the cycle. So, because even if he destroys the rest of the world, you can't say that he stopped the cycle, because it's going to destroy the people on Paradis in the end. So it didn't save anything in the long run. It's just, again, Attack on Titan is a cautionary tale. Don't let this happen. Don't become ignorant of the world around you. Learn about the world around you. Be willing to communicate with others. Be willing to reach places of understanding with others. Be willing to say no to violence and work together so that this doesn't happen. You know? And that's such the message. But I've already started seeing comments where people we're going back to the anime days where they were just like, you don't understand Team Eren. And I'm like, oh God. So to say I was trepidatious about this volume is an understatement. as an educator, as an educator, as an idealist myself, I'm like, oof. And again, I'm not going to be unrealistic to say that I don't understand why Eren got to this point. But I'm on Team Hanji, where I'm like, genocide's wrong no matter what your options are. And when people say Eren had no choice, no, he does. He has a very big choice. He makes a choice. It's... I'm watching Trigun at the same time, and the main character is about the most polar opposite of Eren Yeager as you could possibly imagine. And they have to make choices. And those choices have consequences, and they have to deal with it. And it's so fun to watch two series back to back with such main characters that have polar opposite ideals, and to watch them struggle in different ways. It's very fun. If you've not watched Trigun, I highly recommend it. It's great. But its characters are very opposite, right? So yeah. And my thing too, we're going to talk all about these volumes, but I feel like the conversations are going to come back up, but it's going to be fun seeing it all through a second lens, seeing it a second time. But I got home from work and I was like, oh, we're going to be doing this volume. And I'm already fired up. And so, but I am trying to be open-minded because I do understand that Eren has good reason to do the things he does up until the genocide. At that point, I'm like, then I have some issues. But it's issues with Eren's choices that he makes and how he doesn't... Again, I feel like Isayama is so cruel to us because he doesn't make Eren around when these important conversations are happening that show us, the audience, why Eren's decisions are wrong. Again, Eren represents the darkness in our heart that we don't want to recognize is there, but it's oftentimes great that we don't act on it. Because if we did, we could be causing rumblings of our own and destroying the worlds around us, and that's a bad idea, right? So... I've talked over 10 minutes. But yeah, Christopher Peterson, you got me all fired up today with that comment, so thank you for that. But I'm certain people are going to be in the comments being like, why don't you understand Eren's true goal? I'm like, I do, damn it. I just don't agree with you, and it's fine. But all right, I'm going to quit bitching and get on with the volume. So we're going to start volume 27. I'm going to complain some more. Maybe, maybe not, but we're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1... And I will say this, Isayama knows exactly what he's doing. We got Eren in the cage, trapped within the cage. How on earth will he get out? It's going to be fun going back and seeing this a second time and like going up to that moment. But man, we're going to give you all the Eren pecs, all the Eren abs, all the biceps that you want. And his hair pulled back just like Gabby's in an unironic way. But yeah, behind the cage. Visitor, a sound argument. Oh, I did like a sound argument. That episode was very controversial. Guides and counterfeit. Man, getting in some interesting episodes. Oh, wow, look, it's everyone. Jean and Eren being side by side is interesting, but Eren is looking at Jean very intimidatingly, and Jean's not even paying him the time of day, which is fun. Okay, he's a leader figure. Yes, Jean is. He's boldly infiltrated Marley on his own. Like Gabby, infiltrating the enemy lines, right? No comparison there. And then Mikasa looking somber, Armin looking petrified, Historia looking like she's seen some shit, Hanji, Levi, Flock and Jean looking kind of similar, but that's interesting. Anyan Kapan, yes. Annie, oh, Annie's all trapped in the little crystal. Awesome, we get everybody. All right. Fun times. What are you doing? Or were you talking to that mirror? Oh, Hanji. And I liked we were talking earlier on in the series about Hanji believing Eren's still in his rebellious phase. Yep, and Eren doesn't want to talk to Hanji. Yep, you said fight, fight. You said it twice, fight what? Hanji's trying to be like, get him to talk. And saying, what are you doing here? And Hanji's like, I'm here to talk to you. We spent all night talking about Titans the first time we met. You listened to me talk on and on. I knew you wouldn't sacrifice Historia. And I think this is a good point too. Again, bringing up the idea of coming together and having a conversation and understanding. In this moment, Hanji's like, I am trying to understand you, and realize what your ideas are and why you're going this route. Hanji's like, I'm trying to understand. And it's so weird to see Eren so much taller than Hanji. It's weird. But Hanji's like, I want to understand you and work with you, but we got to meet halfway. And Eren, if you notice by the body language, is turned away from Hanji. Eren does not want to work with Hanji. And I'm like, then we will get nothing accomplished because you're not willing to meet part way. 2 years ago, the day of the ceremony in the harbor. And we were having those visitors. Yep. And then, yeah, that's when Mikasa meets her relative, Kiyomi Azumabito. They're blood related. Yes, the family crest. Yep. My mom said to keep it a secret. And Eren's the one that convinces her to show her. Yep. She asked me to pass it on to my own children. And then she said about 100 years ago, the Shogun was the ally of the Eldian Empire. And we traced our lineage back to his son, who was on good terms with the royal family and visited here. Yeah. So tracing that all back. All right. After our defeat in the Great Titan War, they lost standing with the world and were unsure how it happened, but the heir left a child behind on this island. Who knows how? Just happened to happen. Yep. The person with Eastern blood on the island. You're Hizaru's hope. Which is an interesting thing. I always thought it was interesting that Mikasa gets this kind of responsibility put onto her, where she's suddenly the hope of this people, just kind of like Eren's been the hope, Zeke's been the hope. It's interesting. What's fascinating about it is that you have Zeke, who has such a visceral negative reaction to being the hope of a people, and you have Eren, who has such a visceral positive reaction to being the hope of a people, and Mikasa's kind of neutral. Mikasa doesn't really have a reaction to or towards or against it. She's just kind of like, okay. Like, Mikasa's just like, well, I don't really know what to do, so it's fascinating that she just doesn't really think either way about it, right? And that's when Historia goes there. I am happy. You've had to shoulder a heavy burden because of your birth. I couldn't ask for a more perfect match than you, Mikasa. And a story relating to all of them, right? And so they talk about Zeke and what Zeke's conditions are, right? I am the true Eldian restorationist, which is such a funny thing because he wants to kill them all. Such a funny thing. And so he's like, my parents were naive. We get a little bit more with Zeke talking about his plans. They wouldn't be achieved by their band of complacent jokesters. Interesting. I knew Marley's plan to retake the Founding Titan would mean the restoration of Eldia, because Marley never knew I had royal blood in my veins. It's so weird to see Peek hanging out with them in the background. She's just like, hey, guys, I wish I could have coffee with y'all. I feel bad for Peek. I do, being stuck in that Titan body for so long. Marley has no idea what will happen when a Titan of royal blood comes in contact. And even now, your homeland is under attack, right? We're here to seek the heir to our Shogun's clan. Interesting. I would not bring this proposal if it didn't benefit the nation of Hizaru as well as your family. And so they have this thing called the Iceberg Stone, and they talk about they don't know the value of this resource. And so that's how he gets Hizaru to go to work with Paradis together. And what's interesting is that she's like drooling during this part. That's where she's like drooling over the prospects. It shows kind of how greedy she is as why she's really there. It's not really to like use Mikasa at all. It's just they want the resources. It has nothing to do with our conglomerate's recent expansion plans. Yeah, she's just super greedy. And so they have this mediation talking about what to do. The third element is that, in other words, you have to use the earth shaking to protect the island for 50 years. You have to always possess the founding Titan and a Titan of royal blood. Zeke will pass down the beast Titan to one with royal blood. And this is the part that Eren gets really pissed about. And that's the idea of Historia just having as many kids as possible. And I don't blame Eren for getting mad. I'd be mad too because Historia is his friend. And he's like, absolutely not. No. And then Historia, because we know how Historia is like, yep, I'll inherit the Beast Titan to continue our existence. And then Eren's like, no, if it means paying for our lives with broken walls, trampled land, and children bred and killed like livestock, I will not accept Zeke's plan. And so that should have been a sign too, because this is Eren being genuine here. And I like that Eren sticks up for Historia and is like, absolutely not. Because Eren knows that Historia would be very willing to sacrifice herself and do this. And Eren's like, no, I'm not going to have you do that. And so at this point, I like that Eren's like, at this point, it's very obvious that Eren was not working with Zeke, which makes his actions very complicated and confusing until we get to the paths and see that it was part of Eren's plan all along. I like that. I think that, yeah, that's a great point to make here. It'd be better for us to use all the time we have left to consider every option possible. I love this part of Eren. I'm like, yes, let's do that. But he just loses hope. And he loses it so quickly, right? He just loses hope because they can't think of any other way. We hadn't found another way, and Zeke's time is almost up. I thought you and I felt equally rushed, but I can't understand why you acted on your own and put us in danger. And he's like, I ate the Warhammer Titan. It controls tightening hardening to create weapons or anything it needs from underground. It was an annoying enemy. So you can't imprison me. Yeah, and Eren is so terrifying here. He is absolutely terrifying. And the thing about it is that he gets violent with Hanji, and you understand why he's mad, because they can't think of anything. And Eren, what's so sad is that Eren's reaction when he gets anxious or frustrated is oftentimes he gets violent. And it's like, no, please stop. So it's like, please stop doing that. He's like, you can't imprison me. I can leave. And him just stalking towards Hanji in his Levi's is like, which is ironic in itself. You can't kill Zeke either. What can you do? If there's another way, then tell me what it is. Because Eren's like, I can't think of any other options. Eren's like, I don't want to do this, but I can't think of any other options. What have we got to do? And it's so, like, he's getting ready to transform right now. And Hanji's like, the rebellious team, grow up, Eren. Why did you make me commander? And then poor Mikasa is just like, she doesn't know what to do either. Yep. And that's when they're about to, like, beat Niccolo up. And that's when Jean and them protect him. And he asks about Sasha. But yeah, it's like, oh God, it's so sad because, yeah, you get why Eren is frustrated. And you get why Eren, he doesn't want Historia to be used. And he doesn't want them to be in danger. And it sucks so much. And it's like, but at the same time, it's like, was destroying the world really the only option? Could you not have, like, at this point, one thing that kind of sticks out about it, especially after hearing the stuff with Willie Tyburn and Magath, is like, if you guys, like, if Eren only cares about Mikasa and Armin, let's be real. Could he not? I mean, I know they do blood sampling and blood tests to see who's Eldian and who's not, right? But at this point, if you talked it out with, if you got somehow Reiner and Annie and them and Magath or somehow to be on your side, could you not, and use the Asmobito, could you not smuggle Mikasa and Armin and Jean and Connie off the island and, like, and go live in Marley or go live on another continent and hang out there and just let your hometown go? Could you not move away? You know? I'm like, could you not move away? Because the thing about it was, they were getting, Willie, Tiber, and Magath were getting the world against Paradis so that they could make Paradis an enemy. And then once they destroyed them, they were using the Eldians on Marley as victims. Magath and Willie were working towards better relations for the Eldians. So yeah, scapegoat flock. Because Eren doesn't care about flock. Eren doesn't care about Flocker, Louisa. He literally cares about 5 people on that island, and that is it. The Asmodeus couldn't smuggle those 5 people off of Paradis and take them back to their place. I'm just saying, I think you might have made it work without destroying the world, but I don't know. It sucks. And Isayama puts us in the most dour of situations, right? And so, why apologize to me? All I did was cook for her. Oh, Sasha and I were like twins. And that's when Mr. Browse comes. Oh my God. And Kaya's there too. Oh, I want to work as a chef. Oh. So then that's all the Titan transformation serum stolen from Marley. Yep. Duplicating it is hard. We couldn't get the equipment or experts in Titan science. Yeah. I just like the idea that somebody majored in Titan science. That's just such a fascinating thing to me. But this should be enough. Which is pretty insane indeed. And then that's when Pixis is like, yeah, we don't quite trust you. So we're going to put you, lock you all up. Oh man, now we're getting Zeke and Levi in the trees, the giant forest with the trees. What a callback, right? It's as if Isayama is hitting all the checkpoints from the early part of the series, and we're just doing like a greatest hits. Like we're going back to these places again and using them again. And Levi struggling with losing his squad around Erwin in the beginning against Annie, and now against Zeke, he loses his squad again. Poetry, Isayama, you know George Lucas? I feel like you do. And then there's Gabby, who's freaking out. But it was just to get him down there. Oh. And again, where she gets the guy and bashes his head in, right? Again, I can't get mad at Gabby if I don't get mad at Eren, I can't get mad at Gabby because, again, we parallel these two characters. Eren believes he has no choice but violence to get the job done because he's left with no choice. Gabby believes that she's left with no choice either. So these two characters are in very similar situations. And she's like, I can't trust anyone. That's the same way that Eren thinks. Eren's like, I can't trust anyone at this point. He's like, nobody's getting the job done like they need to except me, right? And so Gabby's in the same boat. Yep. Just parallel these characters. The only difference is like Gabby doesn't get rid of Falco. Eren gets rid of Mikasa and Armin. So, but we're not there yet. We're not the savages yet. That's gonna be fun seeing Flock's murder face in manga form. Man, you know what? If we get anything from Reiner, we get Reiner abs in this volume, but it is not the fan service we were expecting because everything sucks. Oh! And then we have Historia with the baby. Take better care of yourself. And Farmhand Coon! It's Farmhand Coon! Look at him! Do we get a name on Farmhand Coon? I hope we would. Bless his heart. You gotta take better care of yourself. And the baby. Old Farmhand Coon's baby. Farmhand Coon actually looks pretty handsome there. Wish we could see his face. So, here we go. The Marley and Wine, the sound argument. Yep. And then, this guy. I was not unhappy when he went. Not unhappy at all. Yep. We should have turned Queen Historia into a Titan and fed him to her. We've let her go off, enjoy herself, and have a little brat. A low-born girl could never become a true queen. I'm like, she's literally with some local she didn't even marry. And I like that Niall's like, hey, cut it out. She's still our queen, bitches. She's done more than you. She has a right to choose her partner. He's been checked out. We know he's no one's pawn. He is a young man born and raised the same place. He used to throw rocks as a child because she wouldn't leave the farm. He wanted her to notice him. He worked at the Queen's orphanage out of guilt he felt from back then. And his head down, he wasn't trying to get her attention. Oh, what's this? Huh. Her face looks a lot more solemn there at the time than the anime. It looks much more solemn. Why the queen would choose to act so selfishly. She's technically the monarch of this nation, a puppet forced onto the throne to help us seize power. We've burdened her with this awful fate. None of us has the right to complain about her love life. I mean, technically they bring up the fact that they kind of put her on the throne as a coup d'etat, and so she was a political player anyway. So they're like, we kind of used her, so who are we to say? But he's like, now that she has a child with royal blood, our plan has fallen apart. Someone must have informed the queen. They told her the court wanted to feed Zeke to her as soon as they could. But if she got pregnant, she wouldn't have to become a Titan until she gave birth. Someone told her the truth. Well, it's Eren right there in the coat, right? Eren told her the truth and said, hey, if you get pregnant, then you won't have to eat Zeke. But I honestly, if I could criticize this story about one thing, it is the role that Historia plays after season 3. If I could criticize Isayama for one thing, it's Historia's character. And I get that Isayama kind of wrote himself into a corner because Historia, her being of royal blood, was so dependent upon the story moving forward up until this season. Up until this point, Historia being of royal blood was a major plot point. It was a major advancement in the story. It connected her with Eren in different ways. It connected Eren and the whole idea of the memories and everything. It had to happen, but it's like, as a writer, I try to think of things like a writer would. And if I was in Isayama's shoes, I would suddenly be like, well, shit. Historia, now that we've made a big deal about her being of royal blood, now that we've made this big deal about how important someone with royal blood is for this plan to work, then what do I do with her? Because if she's not pregnant, then why isn't she eating Zeke, right? What's the reason behind that, right? What do we do there? I mean, your options are you write her character to where she's like, no, but we've seen that these guys in the military are shady as hell. Some of them might try to force her to eat Zeke and not give her the choice. So there's that. Or they write her as abandoning the throne and going rogue with the Survey Corps. But how do you fit that into the story and make it cohesive and work? That doesn't work. You make her go along with the plan that Eren's like, no. So I see why Isayama did this with her character. He kind of wrote her into a corner where with the plot, he didn't have any choice. But it just sucks because then she's just sitting in a rocking chair with Farmhand Coon pregnant for the rest of the story. And as we don't know what's going to happen with this baby, we don't know what's going to happen with the baby. So, but yeah, it just sucks. And she kind of becomes, what is interesting is that she chooses to become pregnant to save herself from becoming a Titan. She chooses that route and chooses Farmhand Coon. So unlike Ymir, it's sort of, there is a little bit of empowerment with it, I guess. But I always have hated the idea of the monarch becoming pregnant and doing nothing. Because that seems to happen a lot in narratives. They're like, just write her out of the plot once she gets some power. So I've always hated that trope. But at least Isayama tries to give her some agency in this, and she chooses to help Eren. But Eren knows that her character is self-sacrificial, and he knew that that's why she agreed to be the Beast Titan from the beginning. So he kind of gaslights her into doing it too, but she chooses it on her own, so it's complicated. I do like on this page the parallel of her with the pitchfork at first, and then Farmhand Coon has it. But it's such a complicated thing. But that's clearly Eren telling her about the plot. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, but I like this one guy says she's also a brave soldier. She's not just a queen. I like that they stick up for her except for this guy. Like, the one guy's the only one that really, just to make her a Titan, pregnant or not, it's not too late. And they're like, that could kill her child. Childbirth is a big enough threat to her life already. Yeah, because, technology there's not the greatest. Maybe logic like yours that destroys nations. I feel bad for Niall. And then Niall brings the bottle. Yep. Okay. And the deal is done. Again, in this scene right here, Eren's in prison. He is not with all of them, which is very frustrating, right? Eren started going along with Zeke's plan and decided to contact Zeke on his own. Only those two know for sure. And that's when Connie's like, that didn't look like Eren. And then Mika says, like, I'm not going to let you cut him down. Oh, that shot of it, Connie. Oh, that look from Connie. Mm-hmm. And Mika says, like, Eren cares about us more than anyone else. But see, this is the part I talked about in the anime, that Mikasa has faith that Eren's doing this all for them and to save them, which he is. But the part that sucks about this is that did Eren think that they were gonna consider cutting him down? And if he did, then that makes you feel heartbroken for Eren, because you're like, Eren already has such terrible self-worth that he just feels like they should cut him down because he's a monster. And so you're like, well, what the hell? But then it's like, well, what do we do with this? And to know that they have this conversation, it's awful, because it's like, Eren, you're making your friends feel this way about you. And then we go back to the railroad a year ago. Yep. And then they're all like busy. Oh, Sasha with the water. If it saves Historia from suffering, we have to give it a try. Yep. And then they get on the train, and Eren has his little shirt and everything. You all sure got big. How dare you? Oh, Levi. Bless him. Yep. Hizuru came up empty-handed. And you can tell Eren's frustrated. It's like Hizuru was interested in keeping our resources for themselves. They're not going to help us trade with other nations. There are organizations who want to protect the rights of Eldians, but they're considered freaks. No one will take them seriously. The world needs parity to be the root of all evil. They think the shared attitude brings them all together and protects global stability. Look, guys, you guys have lived in this Hodrum little island your whole lives. I know y'all like it here. It seems like a little small podunk town. Maybe if there are better living conditions elsewhere, you could just leave the island. I mean, most of your homes have been destroyed by the Titans. I'm just saying, I would maybe consider relocating. I don't know. I don't know. Just let parity go. Just let the one little island drop and then go relocate somewhere else together as a group, you know. Yeah. We really just have to rely on the earth shaking. We have no choice but to sacrifice Historia. It's in our treaty with Hizuru that we'll enter a military alliance backed by the earth shaking. Does the world want us to repeat the same evil acts our ancestors committed 100 years ago? They decide we're devils, regardless of our intentions. Why can't we all think of a path towards peace together? And Eren looks back with such contempt to Armin. And I know that Eren's always been jealous of Armin, because Armin has so much faith in humanity and dreams so big. And I've always felt like Eren's been jealous of that, because he can't think of that himself. He doesn't have that capacity in him. Because Armin's like, why can't we work towards peace? And Eren's like, that's not going to work. But you know, in his heart, Eren would like it to work. But he just can't see. He can't be optimistic like Armin is. And it's just, oh God, it's frustrating. They don't know. They don't know who we are, so they're scared of us. Which is the whole deal. If they knew who they were, then it would be different, right? The world can't see our faces. Why would they ever trust us? Let's meet them for ourselves. Then we'll have to teach them. Yeah, which is the right strategy. And they're talking about all the things there. Eldian is a common tongue. We should be able to communicate with many countries. Though we'll have to be careful about our accents and about reading. If the world finds out that we just want peace, it's like Hanji said, something might change. That's the problem. They're like, they need the time. And Eren's like, if we had a little more time, but we don't. I only have 5 and change. Who's going to inherit my Titan? And Mikasa, of course, says, yeah, we still don't know what the Ackerman family is. We don't even know if you can become a Titan. Yep. And I like that Jean, I feel like Jean didn't want Mikasa to become a Titan either because he kind of wanted a future with Mikasa. So he's like, no, I don't want you to become a Titan either. But then Jean's like, then I'll do it. I'm smarter than Eren. Yes, and I'm not a suicidal butthead. And I'll use my excellent powers of judgment. Getting a hand-me-down from Eren is annoying, but who better than me? And then Connie's like, no. Better me than Jean. But you're an idiot. And then Sasha's like, I'll take it. She's like, I don't want it, though. And then I like that Eren is like, I'm not planning on handing it down to any of you. Because you're important to me more than anyone. So I want you to live long lives. Meanwhile, Armin's up at the top of the train like, hey. Don't mind me. And then Eren blushes. Yep. And Mikasa's blushing too. Yeah. It sucks, right? Because I give Eren a hard time. I do. Because I feel like the choice of genocide that he makes is not the correct one. But you know why he makes it. And if we were in Eren's shoes, would we not do the same? I've taken so many quizzes and tests, and all of them say I'm like Armin. So of course, like Armin, I'm like, isn't there any other way? But the thing that makes this story so different than real life is that they are on that time crunch of Zeke having just 2 years left, when in another situation it may not be likely the same. And then again, there's Eren and Mikasa looking at each other and blushing. That's a shippable moment. I'll give him that. Eren cares about us. That's why he got combative with everyone aside from us. His feelings are very strong. Yes, that's an understatement. The old Eren would try to keep you away from the front lines against the Titans. But this time he sent Armin to destroy the port and put you on the battlefield. That is a fair point. John brings up a good point where he's like, yeah, the old Eren wouldn't want you in danger, but here they literally deliberately put you in harm's way to save him. And Mikasa's like, but that's because he trusts us. If we hadn't gone, Sasha wouldn't have died either. And then that's when Connie says that he laughed, which Eren laughing is not Eren laughing, if that makes sense, right? Why did he laugh? Because he was in pain, and that's just Eren's weird emotional response. And that's when Armin's like, well, we'll talk to him and find out what's a discussion going to do. The one time in the past that Eren used the Founding Titans, that wasn't Dinah's will. It's what Eren wanted. Yeah, even though it was unconscious. While Dinah's Titan was the catalyst, she wasn't the one giving orders. Eren controlled the Titans. So it should be the same between Eren and Zeke. Yeah, that Eren would control Zeke, right? It won't happen unless it's what Eren wants too. Eren's the one that decides what happens. As long as he shares our goal, then there's no problem. And what if he shares Zeke's goal? Well, luckily for us, he doesn't. Yep. We have a choice. The choice to turn someone we trust into a Titan and have them inherit Eren's founder. And that's when Armin's like, yes, I know he has time left, but that's why we have to discover his motives and prove it to everyone that Eren is on our side. As Eren looks very antagonistic, right? Yep, very much like Gabby on the bed. Yep. And Zeke looking away too. So yeah, this volume's so heartbreaking because it's like you understand, again, like I said, why Eren's doing this, but it is literally destroying everything around him. And it's that Eren, the problem is, Mika says that Eren trusts them. He does to his capacity, but he doesn't trust them all the way. Not really. Because he acts, he tries to get them away from him. Frustrating. Very frustrating. I actually, at this point in the anime, was so glad that we went to Gabby and Falco. Because at this point in the anime, I was getting so frustrated with Eren, so frustrated with the situation and how complex it was, and how there was like no good choice no matter what you wanted to do. And I just wanted to like scream and throw my computer out the window. And then we went over to Gabby and Falco, and I was like, thank God, let's get to a happier, by comparison, a happier scenario. And that's when Falco rips off the band. And he's like, what are you talking about? And that's when Kaya says, what are you doing? Yep. And she's like, where'd you come from? And again, Gabby was going to throw the rock at her because that's all she knows to do. This entire, while we are looking at the young adults and trying to figure out what we should be doing, the story that Isayama gives us immediately following that is a very simple story with Kaya and Falco and Gabby that iterates everything that needs to be said. And it's the idea of you have Kaya coming out of the woods being the unknown. You have Gabby wanting to react with violence to the unknown, but Falco stops her. Falco is the one that thinks and is the one that wants to foster understanding and stops her from doing that. And it ends up saving them all in the end. Right? So far anyway. Oh my God. Oh, we did find parts of Zeke's fragmented body. Jeez. Oof. It's not enough. All we could find were limbs. And so we're left with them, right? And precisely peek. And they go through everything they was doing. He asked the world to do it that day, to come together. We're not going to wait until Zeke's term is up. We're going to conduct a Scorched Earth campaign against Paradis within the next 6 months. And then Colt's worried about rescuing Gabby and Falco. And then that's when Reiner is like, we can't wait for the Alliance to be ready. We have to launch a surprise attack. Yep, and there we go. And then we go to the ranch. The old Browse Ranch. And again, Gabby's just thinking of ways to escape and get out. And Falco's like, maybe we should understand them and get to know them better. And maybe it'll turn out that everything's okay. And here we are. And it's the family and the Brouses. Again, Mr. Browse is the best. I love him. And again, you have Gabby in the scene, who's another thing too. If you notice how Isayama draws Gabby, Isayama draws Gabby's eyebrows the same way as Eren's, the exact same way. And there's not really very many characters that have the exact same eyebrows like Eren does. And her hair is down like Eren's was. So again, Gabby and Eren's like paths intersect. And Eren keeps going one way and Gabby goes the other way, right? But at one point, their emotions, their ideologies are similar, and then they start to intersect based on who they're around and the circumstances, right? And so then they all eat, and she sees that they're no different than her own family she was eating with, right? Fun times! And when we talk about the Asmodeus, and we get Hanji, poor Hanji. Hanji's just like, what can we do? What can we do? Everything is for the sake of the Eldian people. And the media and everything's starting to ask about trusts. And then Flock leaked the rumors about Eren. Holger, Wim, Louise, and Flock. Because Flock's like, Eren ought to be freed. He looks like such a Boy Scout there. His hair does look better. It doesn't look quite as porcupine-ish there. And I like that Mika said Armin are like, who's this guy that thinks he's Eren's bestie? Who's that? Remember when I thought that Eren and Flock would hate each other? Those were fun times. That was great. And so then Flock talks about that we have the right to live. Eren saved the lives of the new Eldian Empire. And I like that Hanji corrects and says, you mean the nation of Eldia, not an empire, a nation. It's given every army in the world the pressing reason to combine their forces and attack. Does that not endanger our right to live? And Flock says it does. If we can't shake the earth, we never could have survived without the power in the first place. There's no guarantee this weapon will work as you think it does. It's nothing more than a story someone told. Only because you're keeping Eren locked up in a cage. It's like that back and forth there. Between Flock and Hanji. But it's just like, it's so fascinating because Hanji's like, you're poking the bear. This is not a guaranteed thing. You don't know. If you don't mess with this power correctly, it could easily overrun you. And he's like, well, we won't know till we free Eren. Eren Yeager will lead this nation. I like that Jean and Connie and Mikasa and Armin and Hanji are like, no, he won't. I feel like Eren, I think they all know that Eren in no way, shape, or form has ever been a leader in that sense. Like Eren leading a group on a mission, sure. Eren leading an attack, sure. But Eren leading a country? Boy, no. 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 Unless Flock's secretly trying to hook him up with Historia, that ain't gonna happen. No. You can't leak information about Eren if that will lead humanity to the walls of victory. And then the stuff with him. Oh my God, Hanji. That have you ever done that? I've done that where you're so mad and frustrated, but Hanji doesn't get violent. They're just like, what do we do? God, that page is good. That page is so good. I'm tired. No, I need to study. I love that Hanji's like, when Hanji is faced with the realization that they are becoming exactly what they fought against back there during season 3, Hanji's like, no, I'm not going to be the same as that, but I got work to do. Meanwhile, I talk about Luisa, and Luisa is just talking about Mikasa fighting, being like, you were saved by Mr. Yeager too, weren't you? And Mikasa's like, I ain't here to be your friend. I like that Mikasa's like, well, damn it. Mikasa's like, what have I done? And that's when they get the headache. Thinking, it's okay now. You can relax. Oh my God, that looks absolutely terrifying. Terrifying. And another way of thinking about this is that Mikasa is getting the headaches because she's stressed, but she's also realizing that maybe the way that Eren went about saving her was wrong. Because Eren killing the guy and stabbing him over and over again to save her, is that right? Can we say that that was the correct thing to do? Yep. And that Eren's no different now than he was then. His solution is to just destroy everyone in the way. Not understand them, which, granted, you weren't going to understand that guy. Probably not, right? I'm not justifying that. But it's Eren's rationale has always been destroy and then don't worry about it. But that's not different than anybody else's rationale. So that's the thing too, is like Eren's rationale is no different than anybody else's. It's not breaking the wheel, it's just continuing the cycle because everybody else is thinking the same thing. Armin's the one that's like, let's not stop killing each other. But yeah. And Flock Forster. It's weird to know Flock's name. Flock Forster. I never call him by that. And so then here we go. The contact with Eren. Interesting. And then, oh my God, the horse biting Gabby's head. Amazing. It's just as good as it is in the anime. I like that Falco's instantly like one with the horse. It's amazing. Which his brother's name's Colt. Should we be surprised? I'd rather blend in than risk doing something stupid. And then, yeah, Falco's like, I can't tell her that I helped Eren because then she'll just be really pissed. Why am I your little sister? Yep, the imposing. Okay. People who lost their parents 4 years ago gather here. Ha! And it's like, you haven't admitted your sins. It's just like, does that have something to do with why we all lost our parents? Your crimes are too heavy to escape. Is that what they teach you in Marley? And it is basic history. And they're like, what did you just say? I don't know why you came here, but you two are from Marley. Mm-hmm. She knew. I love that Falco and her are both like, oh my God. And yeah, and of course, Gabby, again, Falco, who's trying to be like, oh, let's talk about this. Gabby's like, nope, I'm gonna kill you, which, Eren comparisons. And then he's like, no island devil could ever be that nice. She tricked us. And they're like, Mia's jealous of her brother. Big brother's getting stolen away from her. I'm like, what do you mean? If I was going to tell you on you, I would have done that a long time ago. I love it. And that's when she takes them to the village. Yep. And she tells them about, yep, it ate her mother there. Oh. I think it was because she lost her voice. And then God, the way they draw Falco's face there, where he looks over to Gabby. God. Yep. I don't understand why they hate us so much. What did my mom do? What did she do to make you hate us so much? And then that's when, you know, Gabby starts reciting all the history lessons about them. She's like, well, but we were born right here. We didn't do anything like that. And she's like, 100 years ago, what kind of sins are we committing right now? My mom was killed 4 years ago. How can that be? And then she's like, my mom didn't kill anyone. Why does she have to die? And again, that goes back to Gabby asking why Udo had to die, why Zofia had to die when they didn't technically do anything. Why was she eaten alive and killed? The recon in force. Uh-huh. She didn't commit any sins. She didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. You were just born in Marley. You didn't do anything. And it just like this whole argument points out how stupid it all is. It's just like, well, who cares about that now? You know, she's like, I don't, does my mom have something to do with that? You know? Mm-hmm. And then she talks about the woman that threw the axe, which is Sasha. If she was still alive, she'd never abandon 2 kids like you. She'd help you like she helped me. It's so hard. That's so hard. I want to be like her. Oh my God. So hard, right? So then they have this gas weapon, right? That contained my spinal fluid. And it's the village. Yep. They never told me how it works, but if it's in the body of a subject of Mir, a coordinate is etched inside of them to which power of the Titans can be sent. I could give the order. Yep. And those Titans are connected to one another by way of my Beast Titan. Yep. Uh-huh. And that's how Rogako came to be the way that it was. Yep. And there we are. All those Titans. Yeah, jeez. Ugh. And I like that Levi, Levi's just like, okay, great. But it was Rogako. It had a name. Yep, you bearded shit. I like that Levi's like, yes. I love that distance between them again. What's so fascinating about this is that we have all these scenes of dinner and later on at night at the end where they all eat together. This is like the antithesis of that because Levi's just trying to find out information and piece together things. He has no interest of working with Zeke, nor trusts him at all. It's just kind of funny that they're in this like pseudo situation where they're supposed to be getting along and understanding each other, but we all know that that's a complete facade. You don't carry a speck of guilt. Yep. And then Yelena talks about meeting Eren. Eren felt the same sense of danger. Yep. The military government needed to be stirred up. Uh-huh. I wanted Eren Yeager to know who I was. Her eyes, what I love about Isayama drawing Yelena is whenever Yelena has those pitch black eyes, which I love because it makes her stand out so much. But what I love that Isayama does, he doesn't do this to any other character in the entire series pretty much, but for Yelena, whenever she gets like excited about talking about Zeke or about getting Zeke to notice her, her eyes have the little white light in them and they get like a little beady and they get very like cutesy. Again, Isayama drawing cutesy things is creepy as hell, but it's so fascinating, right? We wanted Eren's Titan to smash Marley to pieces. Uh-huh. I love it. I love how he draws her eyes. They're so beautiful and just creepy. I did everything for Eldia. Uh-huh. He carries the founding Titan. Yep. Okay. Getting all this. Do you know how to tell a good lie? You mix a little bit of truth in from time to time. Ah! That's one of my favorite. I think that's my favorite quote from Pixis. I freaking love that quote. How do you tell a lie? Mm-hmm. And so then we have Onyankapan and Hanji. It's like Hanji's world tour of trying to make themselves feel better. Is they're just like, well, this didn't work, so I'm going to do research. So I'm going to go over talk to Onyankapan and see if that helps out. And then we swore we'd fight each other. Ah! What? Yelena, she admitted to meeting with Eren in secret. Did you really not know? No. Yep. Everything you know about Yelena. Well, Yelena's pretty crazy. She batshit crazy, actually. Just so you know. She's just a kind of a wild card. You can't really trust her at all. Everything's for Zeke. Meanwhile, Armin and Annie. Anytime people say that Armin, and Eren's going to use this against him, they say that Armin only likes Annie because he's got Bertolt inside of him. I'm like, Armin liked Annie back during Smile and Mercy before Bertolt was even in the equation. So he liked her way back then and was interested in her then. So this is just the extension. But then comes Hitch, the bestie. Bestie Hitch. No touching that girl is allowed. Oh my God, Armin, you got it wrong. Titan memories come to people based on touch, you see. I'm like, you weren't going to touch her? What? Armin. I'm not doing anything improper at all. I like that Annie's listening to this whole conversation, being like, oh my God. Well, you are a boy. I can see how you'd be interested in all that information that Annie has to offer. I'm sorry, don't ban me. Oh my God. I'm rooting for Armin and Annie to get together. Let them have this. Let them have this. It could still having me as your only conversation partner, doesn't it? How are you this popular when all you do is sleep? I honestly like Hitch and Armin having this relationship. I like it that they're just besties. It's great. I never imagined Hitch would make it this far, but here we are. We have to figure out Eren's true intentions ourselves. And the thing of it is, you know, Eren knows what he's going to do in activating the rumbling. And everything Eren is going to do, whether he realizes it or not, is in complete... But I think he knows it. It's in complete opposition of... He knows Armin's going to hate when he finds out that Eren's doing the rumbling. He's going to hate it. Because the rumbling is destroying everybody in the world. The thing that Armin wants is the freedom to go visit the world and see all the things. Eren's destroying all the things. So it's almost like Eren's like, F your dreams, Armin! that we fought for! Ah! Yes, anyway. It's so frustrating. But yeah, the Survey Corps needs new recruits. Where are the kids? Oh yeah, Zacharias and the bomb, right? Again, does Eren realize that his actions are nearly getting his friends killed? Yep. Eren's been silent ever since the facts were brought to light. Uh-huh. We know nothing about what he did during his alone time at Marley. We can't carry out the test in this condition. Zeke is controlling Eren. Which is like, not true, but... And they're like, what's going to happen to Eren? And they all look over to the chair! Like, you think Eren's going to let them do that? No. And the chair has the bomb in it, right? We've known Eren since we were children. Couldn't we be of use to you? We have to have great caution. It's like, nope. And that's when he's like, wait, we don't know if that's the case for sure. We can't let Eren. And that's when, oh my God, she saved Armin. I'm like, Eren, do you realize that your friends nearly got killed by all of this? Oh my God. Well, that is a much more gruesome picture of Zacharias. Oh my God. What? Holy shit. Like his face and everything. Oh my God. That just like took a second to register. Holy shit. Wow. What in the world happened? Dedicate your hearts. And just, I hate this because it's like taking something that Erwin and the Survey Corps made mean so much and just twisting it, right? And just twisting it. Oh. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. The recruits brought it a few minutes before we visited the room. They were the Survey Corps. Yep. Okay. Eren has escaped from the underground cell. Oh, are we gonna see it? Are we gonna see it? Are we gonna see it? Yep. He created an escape route and sealed to prevent anyone coming after him. For Mika to say, Armin, what the hell is happening? Eren had time to switch to black jeans because he's antagonistic now. Oh, there we go. There we go. How many are there? Okay. The jailers who freed us from the cell and told you to come here today. They're our comrades. And then Flock's just like, love me, Daddy Jaeger. Come on. The bomb who destroyed Darius Zachley. I always call him Zacharias. I don't know why. We had to act because the government planned to have someone more agreeable inherit the founder. We know that you are the only one who can save the Eldian Empire, Eren Jaeger. Yep. We need to find Zeke. Oh my God. Just give Eren and his 8-pack. I mean, Isayama's like, enjoy the view. He's about to become a freaking monster. So enjoy the view while you can. I feel like Isayama is just like, look at how good I can draw him now. He's so proud. So proud, right? Oh my God. Yeah, I also feel like a lot of people in the fandom that really like Eren, I may be stereotyping, I may be generalizing, but it just seems like it's like people who kind of want to project themselves onto Eren and fall into that machismo like the machismo physical standard that is pushed into male society. I'm a woman, so do that with what you will. But I just, I have friends that are men, believe it or not, that talk about like the physical machismo standard that is pushed in culture and that is a lot of men feel pressured by, and Eren kind of is something you can project yourself onto. It's just like, maybe just project the physical side. Right? And the way that Flock phrases it is like, well, we had no choice. We had to get you out and we had to do this because otherwise they were going to have somebody else eat you, which isn't wrong, but still sucks. And he says, I know Eren will understand. If we talk to him, I'm sure he'll understand. How much fun that's going to be. Yeah, and there's Peak. Oh my God, yes. Oh, Lord. Okay. Gah! And so then we have all the stuff about Historia. Oh no! The popular kids ganged up on Eren because he finally fought back after getting bullied for the ridiculous rumors going on about him. Can't believe this violence is unforgivable. Our poor Dark Knight. I never knew Historia would do stuff like this. There's no such thing as a well-adjusted rich kid. I always thought she was stuck up and mean. Wow. They did it on their own. I was just bored. Oh. So it's like, it's sort of, again, kind of a play on the situation happening now in the story, that just cycle of she started the rumors to get people to bully Eren, and then in bullying, it was almost like karma. In response, it all came back at her and like backfired on her. I'm the worst. And then Eren says, I understand how I hurt you now, and I'm sorry. It was Eren's fault after all. Did he protect me by lying? Oh, I want to talk about this in a second. Was that enough, Armin? Yeah, it's fine now. All you have to do, and it was Armin's plan. All you have to do is spoil the fun once those pleb rumors will vanish. His story will feel tormented by remorse and gratitude right now. We've come out of this with her owing you one. A fellow follower of the dark. And Eren says, I don't care as long as I'm not getting bothered by that stuff anymore. So that says two things, right? That says three things, actually. One is the whole idea, did he protect me by lying? Eren's going to do that in the next volume. He's going to protect Armin and Mikasa by lying to them and trying to lead them away, right? But it also shows that it was Armin's plan, so he does the same. So is that something that's going to come back in season 4, part 3? Possibly. And then the third thing is that Eren doesn't really have a side he wants to go on. He just wants to be done with all of it. Foreshadowing, Isayama. Foreshadowing. Oh my god. And then Niccolo. Oh my god. Yep. When two paths that should never cross do just that, the pace begins to quicken. Oh my god. 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 It's hitting me how quickly things are gonna go now, and I'm not ready. Not ready. I'm not ready. I realize that throughout this, I am thinking out loud for a lot of this series. Thinking out loud quite hard. You know? So I understand that trying to understand and make sense of it all is very frustrating. And there's just a lot to take in. And you get everything's so layered and complicated that there's parts of this volume that I was like, I understand where Eren is coming from, and I feel for him because I do think that there is compassion there. With Eren, his emotions are so raw and so unfiltered and so unpolished that they come off as very authentic, right? But in the same vein, it's very frustrating because you're like, hey, if you tailored this a certain way or did a certain thing, maybe it would be different, but that's not Eren, right? And it's so frustrating because Eren wishes he could be like Armin and have that faith, but he can't. And I think it ties back to when Armin showed him the book and he realized like the way that Armin dreams and the way that Armin wants to do things, Eren's like, there's no way I can do that. And he doesn't understand how Armin can do it. I have a feeling I'm going to really like next volume. This volume is really hard to get through. But there's so much of savages and savagery and stuff that I love, that I'm excited to get to it. But, oh my god, y'all. I don't know. Anyway, I'm excited to hear your comments down below. Again, I haven't watched the final season. We haven't seen Eren's character come full circle all the way yet, so we got that to look forward to. It's going to be here before we know it. So, like in a month. In like 6 weeks. Oh my god. I'm not ready. But what I am ready for is to hear your comments down below. Please, no spoilers, hints, or clues. But I'm excited to be back next week. Holy shit. Volume 28 of Attack on Titan. And I'll see y'all there.